Hello and welcome to this full run with JimTCG playing Spire 2. You'll have seen I've just picked to be the Silent on this run. We're starting off at base level, no Ascensions yet, and we are meeting with Niall to work out what relic we want. I think the Stone Humidifier seems like quite a good starting relic, and perhaps it's a reflection of my Spire skills, but we will be resting at rest sites, so I imagine I will be picking up some 5 HP along the way. Sometimes I find the Silent a bit slow to get going, but certainly Silent's a very powerful character and has a lot of options at hand in terms of what type of deck to try and build, whether to go for a poison build or something else, with poison being the most common weapon of offense of Silent decks, but as we will find out with this run, Shivs and other means of damage output are very highly rated. So no surprises, this will be a Shiv run, so I will be looking out for Shivs, I will be looking out for complementary cards, and you'll see immediately we've got a leading strike card and a accuracy card, which gives me my first thought about what type of hand and deck to try and build for across this run, and I took that as a good sign that Shivs were going to be my friend today, so opted for that leading strike, which we'll see a lot more of across the run. And of course, if you played Spire, you'll be familiar with Shivs as 0 energy cost cards that are exhausted, quite usually reasonably low damage output, but then I guess they're free damage to some extent, so quite handy across a run, but they do need a bit of work to make them worthwhile and useful. So we're just making our way through these initial battles, and there's not too much to report really, in that the hand is doing okay. We're just trying to get a hand going that has a bit of synergy, that is able to really increase that damage output. So with Silent of course, slightly lower starting max HP and not much in the way of healing, so trying to maintain a base block is also going to be quite important across this run, because taking damage here and there is going to add up, and once we get to those elite battles and those boss battles, it might start to show its course. So we've got this Luminous Choir, random event, paid for the relic, got Strawberry. Not that appealing really, is it? But hey ho, I guess it's complementary to the initial relic that we took around raising max HP. Now with this wrong Parasite battle, I don't have much in the way of area of effect damage at this point in time, so when Frog gets down to 0 and splits into his 4 component parts, I was thinking, this might be a little bit of a challenge in terms of how to try and work the way through, but got a decent deck at the moment, and I don't think Frog is too difficult an initial elite, so we're just chipping away, making use of those 0 energy slice cards, and then we get to this 4 point where, if you're not careful, those infection cards can start to build up. I wasn't too worried here. I thought should be fine in terms of trying to make my way through the 4 little very unpleasant wriggling things that Frog breaks down into. So I've still got quite a lot of strikes and defends, which I guess are your baseline cards, your bread and butter initially, but of course not that useful in the long run, and a bit limited in terms of what they can do, very sort of binary attack or defend. But we're chipping away, the Wrigglers are going down, I'm getting hit by the infections a little bit, but it's not too bad. This hand wasn't so good. Boom 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 boom. Yeah, well, we're making our way, we're doing our bit, there's still a lot more to come. So that leading strike is, I guess, important of where this deck and where these hands will be going. I'm going to really try and maximise the Shivs, and by that I mean generating more shivs, increasing the damage output for them. And if you continue watching, you'll see that that tactic really does pay off later on into this run. So we're getting some decent relics. That Horn Cleat's quite good for the block in the second phase of battle, turn of battle. There's my first rest, raising my max HP, which again, not to be scoffed at. So I had a little look to see what the options were ahead. Quite like the Buridinos event. Quite a cool 0 energy cost card once you've hatched that egg, and I wasn't really short of HP, so it didn't really seem that sensible to eat the egg. But yeah, I actually think this Mauler encounters can be quite challenging, in that Mauler can put out quite a bit of damage sometimes, and if it catches you out, it could really throw off the run. But I've got fairly decent relics here, so I'm not too worried. And of course, we're only on first floor, still early days. A lot could go right, a lot could go wrong. There's that Buridinos egg. I don't know why I can't pronounce it. Buridinos. So I've picked up a few of those 0 slices. Again, just trying to get a decent hand of 0 energy cards. We've got Ceremonial Beast as our boss battle for this floor, which I don't think is too hard. That Toxic Egg, quite handy to pick up so early on, and it does mean that cards that we're going to encounter will be upgraded to some extent, which I was quite pleased about. So I got to this merchant, this shop, and to be honest, I haven't really got too much money in 112 gold. Not too much in the way of viable options. That bullet time does look quite good, but I can't afford it, and I haven't realised I can't afford it, which is a bit of a rookie error. So I was quite interested actually in taking it on, but then, whoops, can't afford it. So of course, what do you do when you can't do that? Just remove a strike. Trying to get rid of some of those early on is always a good tactic in terms of creating a more viable hand. So yeah, picked up a Cloak and Dagger, again with the thought around trying to build block and build chips. Building up that complementary relationship between the two, where as more block is being built, the shivs are then providing that 0 energy damage output on a consistent basis. So at the moment, I'm doing okay for health and HP. Down to 34 isn't ideal, but so early on in the run and with lots more rest sites ahead, I was thinking I should be able to get that back up reasonably easily. And put myself in a better position for Act 2, where of course things get a bit more difficult and more challenging. So we are still motoring along, making quite quick progress to be honest, and that up my sleeve was very appealing, being upgraded and providing the 4 shifts. I thought that's absolutely what I need for this run, so I was very pleased to see that. And an old favourite, the Spoils Map quest. I've actually got 2 quest cards now, which maybe feels a bit excessive, but they'll pay off reasonably quickly, in that I'm confident I'll be able to hatch the Buridinos egg, and of course encounter the Spoils Map event in Act 2, which you don't have a choice about when you get to it. I threw that potion there because I was feeling a little bit uncertain about whether or not these 2 enemies, these Nibbits, might be able to actually get a bit of damage output going. I thought if I could get one down and just put it on a one-on-one fight, it would be a bit safer territory for trying to preserve my HP so that we can heal and hatch the egg at some point. So there's that up my sleeve. I certainly going to see a lot more of it, as are those Cloak and Daggers. And here's kind of the initial I guess sight of what the run is going to look like, in that we're going to build block, we're going to create shifts, and we're going to use them in a very complementary fashion. So again, Cloak and Dagger, building block, creating shifts, just building up into a really nice rhythm where the two work together and ultimately preserve their HP. So this was a very interesting set of card rewards in that after image, sparkling as it is, I thought, that could work really well with the Shivs. In that, of course, every time you're playing the Shiv, you're giving yourself one more bit of block. So here we are, we're at the boss battle. Saves that power potion. Wasn't really sure what to go for out of these three. Probably not the tracking, but Abrasive did look quite interesting, I thought, with the extra dexterity and the 4 thorns, but I wasn't planning on getting hit too much or being too much of a tank in this fight. So I did think that Noxious Fumes would just help chip away at Ceremonial Beast. So there's after image, where you pop it immediately, and that really sets the tone of the battle, and we've got it going, and now we're immediately starting to get that block rising up as we're chipping away at the help of Ceremonial Beast. And so here we are left with the 2 quest cards, which is a bit of a funny position to be in the boss battle, but the hand's still relatively, my deck is still relatively light, so I wasn't too concerned about having too much bloat in the deck. And then we see these Shivs coming into fashion really nicely there. Could almost have popped the lead and strike actually at that point, which would have been more sensible, but sometimes in the heat moment it's easy to overlook these things. And in this hand you can still see that my deck needs a little bit of work, but we'll get that balanced out and we'll get it thrumming and humming in no time at all. Ceremonial Beast, of course, as a boss battle, fairly simple when you get the boss down to that 150 mark, they get stunned, and then they start doing that ringing attack where it limits a certain number of cards that you can play, which acts as a bit of a reduction, I guess, in your options and your capability to pick a strategy for the boss battle. I'd already got to the point where I'd set up reasonably nicely with After Image, with Noxious Fumes and that Strength Potion. So having that limitation and only being able to play one card in the ringing sections wasn't too bad for me. And when we were back to these points, I was then able to really get the damage going once more with Shivs. And as you can see, Ceremonial Beast not putting up too much of a contest in this battle. So very nearly there, just need to get that last 15 HP down, which Noxious Fumes is going to do, so there we go, amazing. Ceremonial Beast defeated without too much of a challenge. Hello.
I just heard your little voice.
So what card rewards are we going to get here? Well, the bullet time, I thought about that after having tried to buy it earlier unsuccessfully, but Sword of Steel upgraded really stood out there. It's only 1 energy. It could act as a really nice way of providing utility to a hand when perhaps I've got cards that I'm not too interested in preserving, and it also really adds to that Shiv count as well. And I will fully admit, when starting out on this run, I knew I wanted to build a Shiv deck, but I wasn't quite sure what that was going to look like. And of course, still with Spire 2 being relatively new, I will admit I haven't unlocked all the cards yet either, so it's a bit of a voyage of discovery for me as it is for everyone. So I picked Very Hot Cocoa there because I thought that would be a great way to kick off battles by having that huge energy output, pretty much allowing free reign to try and build the best platform to get going. I clearly am not used to the Very Hot Cocoa there because I could perhaps have used the discards a bit better there, but you can see what I'm trying to do, where I'm heading, and there's Up My Sleeve again. I think it's an excellent card if you've got an energy output for it, with the way that it reduces in cost every time you use it. I mean, across 3 turns you can really get that down to the 0 energy point, and then you've got tons of free damage, which I think is excellent. surprise up my sleeve again. We're going to see a lot of it in this run, and so we should, because it's going to create an awful lot of shivs that I'm going to be delighted to use. And I actually could have finished it off with leading strike there, but you know, hindsight's great. And of course I haven't taken any poison cards in this run because it's just not really shaping up that way. With this Bug Slayer encounter, both are probably quite good options, but I opted for the Exterminate one just for a little bit more area of effect damage, because I guess the shivs are great in quantity but aren't necessarily providing that area of effect damage. That Bag Marble is providing a bit of vulnerability at the start of battles again, which is great. And I was having a look around a bit at this shop, because it did have some decent cards like that on this slice. Could have worked quite well, given it's a zero cost energy card again. And I was looking around, some poison cards here, again not that interested, because I'm sure, I know there will be people out there such as Jorbs that create amazing hybrid decks, but I was going for a bit of a purist one today. There we go, we finally hatched the egg, which turns into Bird Swoop, which is pretty good. Lovely zero energy cost card, and there it is immediately. These exoskeletons are a funny one in terms of their ability to only lose 9 HP at a time, which does require a little bit of planning. Because you know, normally that potion shaped rock would be doing great work, but on this occasion it didn't, and actually I got through that battle very quickly. I could probably have skipped this set of cards. Skewer, I guess, is quite helpful in them with that starting 7 energy. It could do quite a bit of damage, but at the moment I'm trying to use that starting ward of energy to build the hand using After Image, for instance, and get to a point where the platform is in place for the rest of the battle. So I think again, upgrading well, quick succession, hatched the Burgess and then completed the spoils map, which gave me 600 gold, which is very welcome, and I thought I could use that to good effect in the shops as we progressed. So what I was trying to reference there was that innate After Image is an absolutely ideal card, which to be honest I think helped win this run. No surprise here, I am uploading this as a run that was won, not as a near miss, which I have had a few already. So here's that Storm of Steel card that we saw earlier, and accuracy again, paving the way for what's to come with the shivs. Trying to build up the damage output, and here you see that really nice interaction where the shivs, now playing as a single card, are just adding one block of one item of block each time, creating a really nice buffer between the enemy's attacks and my HP, which is still in pretty good state. This is a bit of a nothing hand, to be honest. Obviously there is a leading strike there which would have taken the damage down a bit, but I wasn't too sure if it might make more sense to remove some of that damage. But here we're in a very good position for finishing off the battle and preserving HP. Cloak and Dagger there, almost having a three-way effect of adding block initially, creating the Shiv, and then the Shiv adding block as well. So I think that was a really nice pairing that worked in a really complementary fashion. So interestingly didn't take Blade Dance there, which looking back perhaps is a bit of a mistake, but sometimes you hone in on these things, and I guess no run is perfect, is it? There's always going to be the odd mistake here and there, unless I guess you start to get to those Ascension levels where the runs do have to be near perfect. I was having an hour and a bit what to go for. The third sweep at 18 damage for 0 energy seemed very inviting to me. So now we're in the shop with our 698 gold, very strong position to be in, and that Infinite Blades card was very much calling out to me with the allure of having a new Shiv every turn to dovetail into what I was trying to build with this Shiv block run. And I thought I'd buy the membership card there just as a bit of an investment, I guess. Wasn't too interested in the rest of these cards, and of course hanging on to your gold isn't the worst thing you can do, nor is removing a strike. If in doubt, remove a strike. And that potion there I just thought could be quite helpful for the boss battle which was coming. But yeah, throwing my potion shaped rock at the Entermancer, who can be quite a tough battle sometimes, as he starts to build up his stack of dazed cards in your hand and in your discard pile. You can get some sticky situations where you end up with a hand that's just full of dazed items. So I thought for good measure I would pop that colourless potion. The volley was appealing, but I thought perhaps in the long run the strength and the dexterity would have a better impact overall. And there's those shivs starting to get a bit more powerful, already reasonably voluminous in terms of the number that we're seeing. Nearly through the shiv without popping the accuracy there, but remembered just in time. And then thought about adding some block on to get to a point where I wasn't going to be in any danger of getting damaged. And there are those daze cards coming in, which can be pretty problematic if you're caught out by them, but I wasn't too concerned. Look at how many shifts we've got here. Lovely stuff. Takes it down, potion binding, and we get that lantern, which again helpful for our energy output. And there's an upgraded cloak and dagger, which is again coming into the deck and coming into the hand on a regular basis. I think the upgraded cloak and dagger, providing you with 2 shifts, is just what I wanted in terms of dovetailing so nicely with after image and my damage output. So we haven't really had too many close shaves yet. Sometimes with a run you'll have a moment in it where you think, ooh, it could all go so wrong, but so far so good. I mean, as any Spire player knows, a run could be going immaculately and then it could all fall apart with a few bad decisions on your part, perhaps add a little bit of bad luck in terms of what's drawn into your hand at that point in time just when you need it. So we're not in too much danger here. The chomper's all but done. We're ready to move on to the next battle. Now I know some people are really big fans of Snecko Oil and the Snecko's Eye relic, but I've never really been able to get it to work for me. So here, Knife Trap, this really was game changing for the run. So with Knife Trap, in my opinion it's always a bit of a overpowered card when you have a Shiv based deck, because it allows you to play your exhausted Shivs from the exhaust pile in an upgraded manner without exhausting the Knife Trap card either as well. So in theory you could almost repeat that over multiple times. I wonder if it will survive this sort of beta phase for Spire 2, but for now it was a truly game-changing card for this run, and I think we're going to see a lot more of it in other people's runs. So immediately popping Ultra Image here, getting Infinite Shivs going, starting that damage output, and beginning to make away. So of course with this boss battle you get your frantic escapes, you're going to get drawn in at points, whilst the Insatiable peppers you with damage, and so the battle is twofold. Survive for long enough that you can kill the Insatiable whilst not getting dragged in. It does involve a bit of deck management, a bit of hand management, and generally if you can stay further away that does give you options, but every time you use the Frantic Escape it will increase the cost of cards, so again you're a bit stuck there. It's an interesting test in that you need enough damage output over a short enough period of time to be able to beat the boss. So I guess some hands and some decks might struggle against Insatiable. This Shiv deck though is really starting to wear, and you can see that with the Insatiable is already down to 83 and we're in a really good position in terms of so there's me checking exhaust power, and there's Knife Trap, and I'm thinking, well, 11 Shivs, 12 Shivs, 13, 14 Shivs, and then there's Knife Trap, play with my 14 Shivs. It's just in another level, to be honest. I mean, how many did that even take? A few? Yeah, so that set the plan for the final act and the rest of the run, really. Try and create Shivs, use After Image to keep block going, and then build to a point where Knife Trap could come in and really do that high damage output. So when we get to Vaku, I was wondering what would be in store here. That Whispering Earring, that's like very interesting one. I always think it would be cool to see what happens to that, but I wasn't feeling like it was worthwhile going for it at this point in time. The music box could have been interesting, but again, didn't really have a good plan for that, and so I thought that Preserved Fog would do the job in that by taking on Folly. It's just one card, which is bloating the hand, whereas at 27 this deck was now looking quite big, and I thought to myself I should probably try and shift some of these items, such as those strikes that had survived through. So there we go, 3 of the strikes and 2 defends, because we've got Cloak and Dagger and we've got After Image, so we want a shorter block. So I thought that was fair. So looking up the map, no real surprises or challenges there. Seem to face these two as my first fight in actually quite a lot. I don't know if that's part of the course, but I don't think they're too difficult as encounters go. As long as you can keep your block going, it's not too challenging. That Living Shield comes down pretty quickly. So I've got quite a good hand for low energy cards there, and I think that means that even though beyond the first turn I've still only got 3 energy as my max energy for most of the battle, it's not really that noticeable. The Lantern does kick in, of course, at some points. So I picked up that Shadow Meld earlier because I thought again it would work really well with After Image, and I think it's quite a savvy investment for a 0 cost card. So I looked at Knife Trap there with 6 Shivs. I think I was trying to do some mental maths here, because it wasn't really needed and it absolutely slapped, but yeah, still worthwhile. Didn't like the look of any of those cards, and at this merchant with 498 gold, I was feeling pretty good. I looked at that Royal Stamp and I thought, that could work really nicely with some of my choices across this run. And so I did end up purchasing it and decided to tack it on to I decided to add it on to... I thought I'd add it on to up my sleeve, just so that I could get that initial boost of Shivs in the first turn of the battles, and then of course bringing its cost down to 1 and then on to 0. 0 is for the first time, there's after image immediately, and I guess it puts me on a really good footing with after image played, and then those shivs available. You've got an excellent platform to start building that block, as I was doing here, and I guess enough damage output as well to put some of those initial enemies down. I really can't believe that Knife Trap is not a card that you resourced. It just feels too powerful almost. Perhaps the occasions where a hand is really full of shivs are fewer than I might expect, but I just think it's got absolutely wild potential, and in better hands than mine could probably be turned into absolutely phenomenal if you were able to really generate a lot of shivs across your run. So I got through that fairly easily, and that upgraded finisher was very interesting, and I was wondering at this point if it would count the shivs and attacks as a distinct attack. I conjectured it would do, and it should do, and I thought if I can get that going after having played a lot of shivs, especially perhaps after having played Knife Trap, then that is a huge amount of damage to have done in one turn. So this Hour Magistrate sometimes can be quite difficult, I think. Does reasonably high damage, not that unusual enemy in terms of what it tries to do, but I just think it stands there with its high HP and quite a bit of damage output, ready to really take a chunk off your HP. So I'm still doing quite well with my HP management at this point in the run. Got 90 out of 92, having rested, using that very initial relic to increase my max HP, and I think that did really have quite a helpful impact on the run. I'm checking the resource pile because you can probably imagine I'm anticipating Knife Trap, and there it is. So I've got 8 shifts to play. I think it's going to be 9 soon. And then there's me looking at the finisher, thinking, this could be absolutely ideal. So there's 9 shifts. I've got 90 health to get through, which would do a good job of it going down to 27. And then look, we've got finisher doing absolute wonders. So I guess there was a certain bit of curation with this deck, of course, and that I knew what I wanted to do in terms of the thematic elements of it, going for a Shiv based hand, and then it was a case of just trying to pick and choose cards that were going to support that theory around no poison, all Shivs. So we got to Ran with Builder, and I wondered about giving my strength potions away, but didn't. Ended up just upgrading those 2 cards, which wasn't amazing, but hey, you can't always play it the right way. That Gorget gave me a 4 plating, which again is really helpful for the block element. With the reptile, with those potion shaped rocks, I was of course getting them each battle, and therefore I thought might as well try and keep those potion slots going and keep them free. This battle was an interesting one, and of course I'm quite reliant on my powers, and I didn't want to take too much damage when using the power cards, because of course with silence it's hard to heal, as I was saying earlier, but it was necessary to get after image going just because of how integral that was to the nature of my block generation for this deck. So Globehead, a moderately difficult 3rd act enemy, I think, and can really catch you out sometimes. I was starting to feel more confident here, getting the shivs going and playing Knife Trap, which I don't think it is a cheese. I don't think it's something that is automatically overpowered, but I do wonder if they might look to tweak that card a little bit, because I could see people getting used to using it, I guess, in combination with the Shivs. I'm really not too far off the final boss battle now, just looking at the 2 paths ahead and how best to do it. With the left hand path, I would have had another opportunity to go to the shop and spend my 335 gold, but would have been an elite encounter quite close to the final boss battle. My HP is very strong at this point. I didn't really need that gremlin horn, but it was very welcome because of this battle with the axe bots, who aren't too powerful independently, but just because you have to face so many of them in a fight, it can be a bit of a grind sometimes. And with this fight, the gremlin horn was kind of useful, I guess, because it did mean I could continue my damage output, keep my hand going, really start pumping those Shivs out, already up to 7 in the exhaust pile, so early on into this fight. I don't think they're too difficult, providing you have the right hand. I mean, maybe that's an obvious thing to say, but I guess if you've got a deck that can do decent area effect damage, or you've got very high single card output damage, then that's probably going to see you through this fight without too much trouble. So already with Knife Trap we're at 12 Shivs, which is very impressive. And there's a Gremlin Horn again giving us another 14 of damage across those 2 axe bots. And I've got 43 blocks there as well, which I think is pretty good going because of the synergies of this hand. So at this point, there's only one replacement axe bot left to come. Got those accuracies there, which will be complementary to the Shivs as they come in. Only needed 1 perhaps at that point in time, and I thought I'd give it a go with using that card with nothing there, even though it was meaningless. So we've just got to get through 3 more of these axe bots, so this one soon to be replaced. And then the Shiv's blowing, the Shiv's flying. And that finisher card doing absolute wonders. And I'm not sure if did I lose any health on this fight? Possibly not, I don't think actually, which maybe a perfect fight. I mean, look at the Knife Trap card there, 16 Shivs ready to go. I mean, yeah, it's wild how much damage that can output. Didn't really fancy any of those cards, so I thought I've already got 25 cards in my deck. Now I've got the absolutely terrible Slippery Bridge encounter, which I think has been a curse of many people, and my plan here was really all about trying not to remove a key card, which I couldn't at this point. Finisher again, couldn't remove that. Slice there, single I kind of card that doesn't do too much for the rest of this hand. So what did I have to choose? I thought I'd rest. I had quite a lot of upgraded cards anyway. So we are, the final battle. Get those strength pressures going, get that initial explosive output out, and then do as we have been so far. So start building the after image base, getting the Shivs going, rinse and repeat. I thought this deck was feeling very strong. I thought it'd be quite unlucky to lose this boss battle of the way that the battles have been going, but you never can tell, and then something might have gone wildly wrong in terms of getting the cards going in the way I wanted them to. The Shiv's not being affected by that bound element that this boss here uses was quite helpful in that my damage output was very high from the second turn there. You can see I really got the Torchhead Amalgam down to 68 HP. And looking to carry on with that. So I was looking at it here, the Torchhead Amalgam's going to do 36 damage, which is quite a lot. And I was thinking, this could cause a bit of a problem. I thought that exterminate is going to do 20 damage, and then I should be able to get enough shivs to get the torture herd of Malcolm down, and I didn't. Which was not ideal. I think a bit of a misstep there. Perhaps I could have done something a bit better. But still a relatively good position to be with the torch head of Malcolm down to 9 and 12 shivs in the exhaust pile. So there's Knife Trap very ready to go, and Finisher nicely beside Knife Trap. So I think it was a case here of just trying to stop, plan a little bit for what's to come to maintain this good position. So of course we output Knife Trap there, it does a huge amount of damage really, and then we get Finisher going, which again does a huge amount of damage. I mean, taking Queen down to 150 in one turn is very good going. So at this point, I knew if I could keep my shivs going, just keep that block output relatively high, I was going to be okay. Still at 50 HP with the Queen at 109 was a pretty good place to be. Getting that final accuracy out just meant that the Shiv damage output was going to be even higher, and was going to really start doing some great damage to the Queen. Blow Glory, and there's Finisher doing an absolute wonder. So yeah, that was an absolute super run with After Image, Knife Trap and the Shivs all going together into a nice triangle of damage, block and utility. So I've been JimTCG, thank you for watching, and that was a full round.